So I've made the kids some potato chicken soup sort of thing. Just chicken broth, a can of Kirkland chicken breast, and potatoes, baked potatoes. So let's see how they like that. I'll let them out. Okay, come on. Am I missing one? Well, it looks like I was a good cook today. They're happy with the food I'm giving them. Just grab a dish. You were at a dish, Opie. If you just stay at one dish, that's probably the best idea. So I'm making breadcrumbs while I'm talking to you, and I'm drinking Postum. My sister gave me this. So we were raised on this, and I know why she kept it. It expired in probably 2009. I'm not sure because it's 09FE02. Could have expired in 2002. I don't know. And I know why she kept it around so long, because we were raised on this. And I did the same thing. I had to chip some out of here so that I could make myself a cup. And I don't know how good of an idea that is, but it smells like Postum, and I think I'll be fine. It's just wheat bran, wheat, molasses, maltodextrin from corn. In brackets, COOIB. I don't know what that is, but it reminds me, just seeing this on the shelf in the pantry reminds me of, you know, being a kid and growing up, because this was always on our shelf. And they'd stopped making it, I think. I can't find it. I started, it was quite a few years ago that I started noticing I couldn't find it anymore. I don't know if you can find it anywhere. Anyway, but I don't know how good for a person it is anyway. But I love it. So that's I know she kept it around because she was trying to ration herself so she could still have some and remind herself of being a kid and our childhood and stuff, whatever. I know that's why she was doing it, and that's why I'm gonna keep it too, and I'll let myself have a little bit, even though it's very expired. Very much past the best before date. Anyway, I'm still going to do it. So this is the 9-grain bread, and I have a couple loaves here of organic flaxseed rye. And I'm making breadcrumbs out of. This is how I often spend my coffee-less, caffeine-free coffee break. Making breadcrumbs. Elvis, don't you be getting any ideas. Eat your dinner. Elvis was already eating dinner. I was having a hard time keeping... I put the baked potatoes in the dish, cut up in the dishes before I brought them out of the house. And he just kept eating them, so I had to take them out of the house. I don't like to have chicken and stuff in the house anyway. I'd rather feed them that sort of thing out here. I'd rather cook that sort of thing out here too, but this time I left out and I have a can that was given to me. I used to buy canned chicken all the time. Well, different meats, whatever. But canned chicken often to give to my big old basset hound that I used to have because he loved the stuff. And I certainly didn't want to cook chicken. I've kind of gotten used to it a little bit. It's still revolting. But if you do it, if you set aside a slow cooker just for your dog, and you do it outside, like you can just set your slow cooker up on a stool by your outdoor electrical outlet, or on a table, whatever, and just cook it outside. Then it won't gross you out if you're like me and not used to that sort of thing. Like, it's funny, you know, when I was a kid, I used to be around all sorts of things. Like, I remember our cat had been run over by a truck, and so I used to help her give birth to kittens. I didn't think anything of it, of her being not being fixed and having kittens. Back then, you know, she was just a farm cat, you know. They make sure that your grain bins stay mouse-free for the most part, and I don't know, they're little workers on the farm. You don't really think of them so much as pets, but sort of, you know, you like them. Anyway, so I'd help the cat when she'd give birth, and it didn't gross me out at all. It was just part of it was normal life, I don't know. But when I helped Paris give birth, it was revolting for me. It seemed like a horror movie. I'd been that far removed from reality, I guess, that, I don't know, natural biology just seemed like a horror movie. Weird. But anyway, I was raised not to cook chicken or have like things around. My grandma that I spent every day with almost, she made chicken all the time. But I never really paid attention to what she was doing, honestly. Now, my one aunt, like I was telling James, one of my aunts, the one with the husband who just had a heart attack, she's wonderful. I adore her. She cooks all of my grandma's recipes, so if ever I wanted to be reminded of my grandma, I could just go to her house for Thanksgiving, and the house will smell exactly the same, because her food, she cooks exactly the same as my grandma. So it's amazing how I'm not that way. I can't even follow my own recipes. I make my own recipe different every time. And then, you know, so I'll scribble in, like I'll have, say, a cookbook that I started with, and then I scribble along the side what I did instead, right? Sometimes it's just change a few ingredients at first, but eventually it's so very different. And it just keeps, you know, I'll put a date beside it when I make whatever changes to it, and it's wild. I don't know why I can't seem to follow the same recipe, but I never do. Even when I intend to, I don't measure things, so it never ends up the same. But I don't know, I kind of like it. I like it the way Grandma did too, though, where hers were always the same, and my aunt, it's always the same as my grandma's. I like that too, because it's nice to have I don't know, rekindled memories or whatever, right? It's wonderful. It's funny how the sense of smell, especially, and I suppose taste is part of that, right? But sense of smell is just incredible for triggering memories. So I can just be transported like a time machine right back to my childhood, to, you know, Thanksgiving days or whatever, if I visit with my aunt. Oftentimes she'll make things like cabbage rolls or whatever. Where's Elvis? Aunt Fred wears out. There you are. That's good, because I need to keep an eye on you, because you are not trustworthy. You just do whatever you want to do. Anyway. Oh, it's late. It's already almost noon. Guess I was busy getting food, making food, and the recipe that I'm trying, that I tried to follow and then kind of did my own thing. And I'll follow the same, it's 9-spice blend or whatever in that Palestinian cookbook for the other recipe that I'm using in the slow cookbook today. And it calls for mace, and it's not something that I have around the house. I've only used mace in cooking once or twice, so it's not something that I keep around. But I'm going to have to go out to a store and get some mace, I suppose, just so I can add it to there, so it can be sort of similar to as it's supposed to be. The one recipe that I showed you with the pomegranate powder, it actually calls for pomegranate molasses, which is like a syrup. Well, it is a syrup. It's a pomegranate syrup. But I didn't want to necessarily have the sweetener in, if at all possible, so I used pomegranate powder, and then I'll taste it, and if it doesn't taste sweet enough, well, I'll add something like honey or something to it. Or, well, I'll taste it and see, you know, what would be better. Well, I think they ate all the chicken, but there's still some potatoes around. They figured out which was the best part of the meal today, so they'll be, I guess, eating potatoes later on. At first, when there wasn't the chicken there, then Elvis thought, oh, well, this is good enough, just the potatoes. But not anymore. It turned out to be a beautiful sunny day. Settle down. Nope, not needed. They were sweeping the streets in my neighborhood today, so that'll clean up some of the used drug needles and Elvis! Elvis! Elvis, you come here right now!